So today's episode's a big one. We're going to go back to the start of your cancer journey, the story of how a mole turned into something much bigger and how you were only told you only had months left. But here we are, years later, almost cancer-free. And backed by popular demand is Mother joining us for this one because you were there through it all. So I think it's important to hear your side too.
So do I. Cheers, big ears.
Cheers.
Okay, so Dad, can you take us back to the beginning? When did you first notice something wasn't right and what made you get that mole checked out?
Well, we were on Tebe with Chris and Pauline on their boat, and there's a lady that was next door that I think she was an oncologist or surgeon, and she came and we were sat up on the poop deck, or whatever you want to call it, on the fly bridge, and she was sat next to me, and I leant forward, and Pips goes, "What do you think about that mole on his back?" And she looked and she went, "When you get home, I get that seen too."
What do you remember about that time, Mum? Did you think it was something serious? Because obviously the mole was on your back, so Mum probably saw it first.
I never saw it, no.
What did you think about that time? Did you think it was serious or not?
It wasn't a particularly big mole, as moles go. I mean, it wasn't, but it changed. It went dark and a bit kind of speckly inside. So I kept looking at it thinking, that doesn't look right. And I had said that, hadn't I, for some time. But when this lady was on the boat, she had a look at it, and that was when it was sort of confirmed that perhaps it wasn't
kicked off from there,
the right thing.
What was kind of the next step from there then, Dad? You went to the doctors?
Went to the doctors, and then we decided to go private. And we went to a surgeon in Cheltenham, opposite the shopping mall, and it was upstairs. And I'll never forget, I was lying down, and he was basically gave me my anaesthetic in my back. I was awake, and I was looking out the window, basically across the shopping mall. Mum had gone shopping. I thought, oh God, she's going to come back with loads of stuff. And she'd gone shopping, and he gave me the anaesthetic, and then as he was coring it out, it was about an inch in diameter, I suppose, and he went in about that deep, next to the spine, which is a little bit worrying, I suppose. But anyway, I was lying on the bed, and I saw Mum coming out of the shopping mall with loads of bags, and I flinched like that. And he said, "Oh God!" He said, "Is the anaesthetic not working?" I said, "No, it's my wife coming back with a load of shopping." And he had to stop. We were laughing like hell.
So at that point, you didn't know it was cancer. You just thought it was a bad mole being taken off.
And he then cored it, and they were about to put it into a jar and send it away to check it. And he said, "Do you want to have a look?" And I said, "Yeah." And I saw it. It was amazing. It was a bit bigger than my thumb, I suppose, that round. And his words were, "I've got it all." He said, "If the hospital want to take your lymph nodes out, say no, because I've got it all out. It's not a problem." I should have learned my lesson there, should I really? But
so at what point did you hear the word cancer?
I think he thought it was cancerous, and he pulled it out, but he thought he'd got it all out.
Yeah.
So that was it. And we thought, tickety boo, stopped for a couple of gin and tonics on the way back in Longdon, and thought it's all done. And then I was in the shower here. And,
some months later.
Oh.
Yeah.
More than some months.
No, yes, some years.
2017 to 2020.
1920.
Yeah. And I was in the shower here, and I felt a lump underneath my left armpit. And I thought, they did say if I get any lumps, then go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor's here in Upton, and the doctor went, "That doesn't look good. Let's get you in." So then we went to Kidderminster, didn't we?
Yeah.
Went to Kidderminster, saw a nice lady there, and she said, "Doesn't look good. We're going to have to operate." And we wanted to go private, and not that we had any money, we were going to borrow it. And I think she said it's likely to be 300,000.
Yes, so we decided we won't go private.
We won't bother with that.
And also, as we learned with Mum, when it's cancer,
they're amazing.
They're pretty quick. Yeah, they're pretty quick. So and then we went off to QE, didn't we? From there.
No, you had
we were in COVID.
You had your operation and took your lymphs out.
Yeah, we were actually in COVID then. So would that be in 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2020. October, I think it was.
It was October, yeah.
5 years ago. And you had your lymphs out, and we thought, well, that's great. That's good. It's
Well, the surgeon actually said,
all done.
quite a funny story. So I'm doing funny stories because it kind of gets us going, gets us through, you know. But he was born in the same village that I was born in India. And we had to queue in the rain, do you remember? And there's a corridor going into this thing, into the hospital. And I was sat there and he said, we decided we're not going to do both sides. This young doctor said, not going to do both sides. Mr. Singh is we're short of staff and we're only going to do one side. We're not going to do the right-hand side, just the left-hand side. And I went, oh, that's a shame. So and then for some unknown reason, he came down and he was a lovely Indian guy from Darjeeling, I think he was, from the foothills of the Himalayas. And I said to him, well, where were you born? And he said, Darjeeling. I said, funny enough, I was in Darjeeling as well. And I was born in Chabwa. And he said, oh my goodness. And I'll never forget, he was perfectly dressed. He was like tweed suit and he looked really, really smart.
Dad always seems to find people that he knows wherever he goes, you know, wherever. Yeah.
And then what happened from there, he said, it's likely to be a 6-hour operation. He said, for the lymphs on one side. I can't remember, they took 38 out, I think, on this side and 16 out this side in the end. But because I'd spoken to him, he then decided that he would do one side and the young surgeon that was originally spoke to me would do this side. Yeah. So, 6-hour op. And then they said, well, we're likely to be in hospital for 5 to 7 days, the drains and stuff like that. And so I was in the high dependency ward. And then 3 days later, I was home. So that was the Wednesday. I think the Wednesday the operation was.
I can't remember which.
And I was home Friday. That was it. And then the surgeon said the same thing. He said, we've got it all. He said, yeah, you're all good.
So at what point did you find out it was in your brain and liver?
Sorry, it's not laughable.
We were on holiday with Paul and Nikki.
New Year's Eve.
For New Year, basically, down in Devon. I think it was Tuckenham or something like that.
Nearby, yeah.
Nearby. And New Year's Eve lunch, and I'll never forget, it was 1:15 and the phone goes, and I thought, I didn't have oncologist on it or anything like that, and I thought, well, I better answer that, so I answered it. And he said, Mr. Barker. I said, yeah, Mr. Barker. He said, do you have anybody with you? And I said, well, yeah, my wife's here. And he said, well, could you go somewhere private and put it on loudspeaker? So we went in the dining room, in the lounge, didn't we? Sat in the bay window, and he said, has anybody told you your prognosis? And I said, yeah, I'm clear. So I've just done a 3-mile walk across the Devon. I said, I'm clear as far as I'm concerned, I'm clear. He said, no. He said, you've got, well, first of all, he went, oh, God, I can't believe they haven't said anything. And then what was his name? Dr. Stephen, Andrew Stephen, head guy at QE.
Yeah. And fabulous guy, but I called him from this phone call Dr. Death.
And he said, unfortunately, he said, you've got 6 weeks to 6 months to live. Which,
very progressive cancer.
Very progressive cancer. It's in your liver and it's in your brain.
Yeah, that's right. After the operation, you'd had a scan to see, they wanted to see if your lymphs were.
That's right. So they've done a scan, and this was the result of the scan. Yeah.
That's it.
He said, it's in your liver and it's in your brain. He said, you've got 6 weeks to 6 months. So from there,
we poured ourselves large gins.
Yeah, large gins. But it sort of spoiled the holiday in a bit, and it took more Paul. And
yeah, New Year's Eve, we had all this party organised, and we didn't feel much like
and
partying.
Paul and Nikki have felt the same, obviously. So we came home early. And the next day, I think, had the lunch and everything. We came home the next morning.
How did you feel, Mum, in that moment, hearing that news?
I was incredulous. I couldn't believe it because it was just like, no, hang on, they've got the wrong person here. Because as you said, we'd been fine and everything, walking, drinking, having a lovely time, and it was just, I just couldn't believe it. Really couldn't believe it.
And that 6 weeks to 6 months is...
Yeah, he was really
quite
brutal with it. He said, you've got to fully understand the consequences of this. And so we said, well, can we have chemo, or can we do this, or can we do that? And he said, no, chemo doesn't work with skin cancer, moles and
we have
stuff.
a trial drug.
But we've got this new therapy called immune therapy, and I have to say that that might kill you in itself.
Yeah.
So, but that is the only option open to you.
Yeah.
But you've got to think seriously about it, because
Yeah,
you can have serious consequences.
Do you have anything
seriously...
with itis? And I said, well, yeah, I have suffered from colitis or ulcerative colitis in the past, where I had a bicycle seat stuck up my bottom from doing 1,000-mile bike ride. And then he said, well, the only problem with colitis is that the immune therapy attacks the colitis.
As well as the cancer.
And he said, we wouldn't normally want to give you the immune therapy, obviously, because the people that develop the drug want success. Pointless giving it to somebody it's not going to work, because they don't get the success. So he said, we'll have to wait and see if we can do it, which meant that I would die, basically. So in the January, we went to see him, and I said to Pips, this is it, this is going to make or break, really. So I put white shorts on, Caribbean shirt.
Just for change.
Yeah, just for change. My deck shoes. And it was cold, wasn't it?
Freezing.
And they called us into his office, and I went, hello, and I shook hands with him. I'll never forget, I shook hands with him. And the lovely Macmillan nurse, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And he went, I wasn't expecting to see you like this. I think he was expecting me to be in a wheelchair, or,
I think he was expecting you not to be so strong and not
to
have a positive
Went,
outlook.
and then he thought about it and wrote a few notes, didn't he? He said, okay, we're going to go ahead and give you immune therapy.
Well, that's kind of leads me nicely on to, there's a reason this podcast is called Bright Side of the Road. And I've always said that along with incredible medicine, your positive mental attitude played a massive role in your recovery, I think. Yeah. So where do you think, a difficult one, that resilience came from in like the dark days of this? How do you actually go, no, I'm going to be all right? During
the dark days, I had a flashback when I actually drowned in Croyd Bay, Croyd. And Jez and I were surfing on those little wooden boards. I think there's one in the bar there. And we couldn't swim, so we just hang on to the board, basically.
Just surf when you can't swim.
In Croyd Bay as well, which is horrendous currents. And I fell off the board and lost the board. And I was in probably 20 foot, 15 foot of water, probably. And I remember going down, bouncing up and shouting help, and then going back down again. There's only a certain amount of times you can do it. Break the surface and shout help. And I remember, it seems weird, but I remember dying, I think. And I was rescued. And they brought me back to life on the beach. But that's what flashed through. Yeah.
So you kind of...
Give him a cuddle.
Oh, it's all right.
Don't do that, it's get worse.
Oh, well, that's where the resilience came from, then you think you've got through this.
Yeah. And it's sort of an out-of-body experience. I really thought that I was like being taken somewhere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mum, from your perspective, what was Dad like during that time? We'll talk about treatment and stuff in a minute, but what was he like?
Well, he's always been positive. Always positive. And yeah, God, it was dire, and we had our moments when we both cried, and, you just have to somehow...
Mum booked a holiday every month.
Yeah, well, I thought if he is going, we're going to have a good time when he goes. Well, we can.
Short holidays. Weekends and stuff.
Yeah, it's just something saying we've got to do this way, because the alternative is not what we want. So, yes.
Well, that leads me on to treatment and trials. I mean, you were able to try the trial treatments, the cyberknife and immunotherapy. Can you talk about those kind of experimental treatments?
Well, the cyberknife was amazing. It was incredible. It
wasn't from my side of the
wasn't from Pip's point of view
of the door.
Yeah. So it was at Birmingham in the cancer ward, and it's basically a robotic arm that they used at the Vauxhall factory
they borrowed it for the day.
Yeah. So it was and they put basically a cyberknife, like a laser jobby on the end of it. Anyway, I went in to see them, and it was so interesting. So then, before I had the op, they showed me around how everything worked. So I could literally, being an engineer, well, inverted brackets, yeah, I was able to see what they were going to do, basically. And it was a 2-hour op. But,
You had to be
I had to go and have
strapped down,
a mask fitted, first of all, with I had 5 patches of cancer on the left-hand side of my brain. And they had marked them on the mask, basically. And that's where they were going to laser through to kill the cancer. It was an ugly looking thing. Anyway, so they bolt your head to the operating table. So it's got bolts all the way around it, and they bolt your head, so you can't move your head at all.
which is probably the right thing to do.
Probably the right thing to do, yeah. And, so they said, we'll stop every 15 minutes. And I said, no, let's just do the whole 2 hours. I'm not messing about it. Let's get on with it. So they did the whole 2 hours and came out, and they were brilliant. All the guys that were operating the machinery and everything, and the doctors, they were fantastic. And
Did they think that was going to be success? What were they?
they were hoping for it to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were zapping the cancer.
Yeah, they were zapping the cancer. And again, Sarah Mead, the oncologist, the brain surgeon, she said, touch and go. You had a 50% chance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, 50% chance of it
From
working.
the other side of because of course he went in and the doors closed and it's got Cyberknife on top. I mean, it was something like coming out of the sci-fi. And I was sat outside literally like this in the waiting room. And I actually thought, is Simon going to come back as Simon? I had no idea what to expect. And of course, this one, doors open, walks out, goes, come on, let's go in the pub. And I'm just going,
We did.
okay, let's go.
Yeah, we stopped and
Relief.
got the drinks on the way home.
So that's the brain.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously got the liver. So what kind of treatment were they looking at for that?
Epinode?
It's the immuno.
The immunotherapy, yeah, the immunotherapy, which is very much like chemo. They said, oh, you wouldn't lose your hair. It's still, you should be fine and everything like that. But you basically go into a chemo ward, and it's bless them, very sad seeing young people in there. Really, really bad. So what was I, about 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours?
No. Having the infusion was probably about 2 or 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah,
3 hours, yeah. And that was once a week, or was it once?
I had 4 in total, didn't I? I had 2 doubles and then 2
had to
singles.
stop it because you became so unwell. Yeah.
So just quickly on that. So you said you can't have chemo is this specifically
For melanoma.
So immunotherapy
Works for melanoma, but nothing else. But now it does, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
Speaking to the oncologist recently.
So let's talk about that, the stopping and starting of it due to the colitis and what they thought.
Well, it wasn't colitis, first of all, because of the Cyberknife op. It was the first thing before he started.
Meningitis.
He caught meningitis. Well, he got meningitis.
Well, they thought the brain cancer had come back. I've never had a headache in my life, ever had a headache.
So much pain. It was
I was
excruciating.
upstairs here 7 days with.
And then we had to take you to the hospital because,
she said,
of course,
how
that
long
was
you had
COVID.
this? I said 7 days. So they did an MRI immediately. And she said, it's very odd. She said, it's very odd. Looks like the cancer's gone. So it's not cancer. Cancer's gone. Which was really, really lovely to hear. Then, of course, found out that I had meningitis. So back, still during COVID. So I was back into happy ward.
Squadron 627, as you used to call it.
622, yeah.
Is it 622?
Lalit Palin, who was my oncologist at the time, lovely, lovely guy. He, so I remember waking up, I had tubes all over me and drips everywhere, and he was sat on the windowsill, and he was such a caring guy. Phenomenal.
The staff, all of them, were
Absolutely.
fantastic. The nurses.
It was particularly good. So we got over the meningitis, and then I got colitis, ulcerative colitis, and they were going to take my bowel out. So I had about 7 or 8 people around my bed, and they were, that morning rounds thing, and they were looking at me and checking me, and I was very large from all the steroids and everything. I was 21 and a half.
You were on the Wizzy pills.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I was
goodness.
21 and a half stone. And I'll never forget over there. And I said, well, look, I'm an engineer. How about bypassing the bow for, shall we say, a year, and not using the bow, and I'll have a bag for a year, and then connect back up and see what happens. And they went, okay, we're going to have a conversation. So they went outside in the corridor and had a conversation, and they came back, and God, what was her name? She was a lovely lady. She was the head sort of surgeon for, what you may call it. And she said, we could do that, but we don't know whether the bowel would be deteriorating while the bag was in. So she said, we can't do that. And then this professor who was with her came in. He said, I'd be doing the operation to put a bag, a colostomy bag in. He said, but you need to lose a lot of weight because it'll basically flap around here and it won't work properly. Sorry about that. And then, God, what's her name? The Irish lady. She came in and said, there is a special drug called tofacitinib. She said, but I have to get...
Was her name Clooney?
Oh, yeah. Rachel Cooney. Fantastic bird. Really lovely bird, about 6 foot. And she said, but I have
obviously good looking.
Yeah, she was. Yes, she was if she was watching this. She'd laugh. I was going to say, tofacitinib, and it's a drug that they had to get clearance from the hospital board because it was really expensive, like $7,000 for whatever it was. I dread to think how much my medication was, or still is actually. So she went, and a week later, I was still in hospital. About a week later, she came back. She said, "We've had clearance to give it to you." And it was awful. I mean, I was passing blood, and it was not a very nice place to be. And she came back and said, "We've got clearance. We got clearance for it." And I said, "Fantastic." So she had it. I had it that day. And
you came out literally the next day.
Came out the next day, all gone, perfect. Well, not
getting
gone,
better.
But getting better. Yeah, getting better. But as far as I was concerned, from what I was like, Yeah.
So, with Mum's diagnosis, you kept it from us for quite a while, though, did you?
Did we?
Yes. Or didn't explain to the extent of what it was. But with Dad's, it all felt very... We all knew what was going on. So
we weren't going to say anything, but Ed gave us loads of grief. What the hell's going on? I'm going to call the hospital. Bless him, I love him bits. And we said, right, come on. And for me, for you guys to be on the journey with me, all of you, was... couldn't have done
journey.
it. Yeah. Couldn't have done it. Yeah, it was all right. Nah. I mean, what about that lovely nurse? So we're in COVID.
They're all lovely.
She was gorgeous.
Gorgeous as well.
Remember her name. She was lovely. Anyway.
I remember Mum coming in. I was living here in the rental end of the bar, pregnant. With Farley, it must have been. Anyway, when you coming in, and I saw your face, and I thought, oh no. And at this point, it was just mole. It was cancer. We got rid of it. And I remember you saying, it's not only in the liver, it's now in the brain. And it's hard to be positive when you get that mindset. But you were, and you are. And
it's always a light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
Normally a train coming the other way, but...
So the turnaround. So at what point did you feel, Dad, that things might be turning around and this prognosis wasn't the case?
Well,
maybe after 6 weeks or 6 months.
I was so used to people saying everything's fantastic, don't worry, it's all gone, And Lallet, I remember Lallet saying to me, "Don't take any notice of anybody that gives you a scan. They don't know. You have to wait for the results." And so the brain. Obviously, Sarah Mead contacted me quite regularly, and she said it's very, very odd because even the scarring's gone. It doesn't look like it's ever been there. It's gone. Which like she says, it doesn't look like it's ever been there. And then a few months later, or probably 6 months later, Lallet called me, and he's always chatting away and stuff. He's, "Well, the scan looks great, the scan looks fine, fantastic." I said, "Well, what does that mean? Does it mean it's going to come back, or is it still there?" And he said, the scarring, there's not even any scarring. He said it's completely healed. It's as if it's never been there, which was fantastic. And then he said, well, recently, I think the last scan I had, he said, and I questioned him. I said, what's the score? What happens? He said, well, with the immunotherapy, if it works, it works. He said, we've now had people at 20 years down the line that are still cancer-free.
Which is amazing. It's amazing technology.
And it's developed even more now. I mean, literally, and they're giving it for other cancers as well now. And so at the 3-year point, if the cancer hasn't come back, it's very unlikely that it will ever come back. He said 4-year point, you're still clear, you're good, and I'm coming up to the 5-year point now where they'll cut me loose.
This man's going to live till he's 150. You know that.
But interestingly enough, in the hospital, Nikki, there was a head nurse there, and they had, because of the ulcerative colitis, they couldn't give me any more immunotherapy. They said, we can't give you any more. That's it. So you're either going to live or die. She said, but we can't give you any more immunotherapy. And that was a real horrendous blow. And I remember her crying, the nurse crying. She said, they should carry on. They should carry on. I said, no, they're not going to do it.
Well, they can't.
They
couldn't. They couldn't, because you became so unwell when you were on it with your ulcerative colitis. And as you say, you nearly lost your bowel. And that aggravates it again. So, no, they couldn't.
It's the hardest part of the whole journey. All of it, but specifically.
I think being told they couldn't do any more for me. Yeah. I think that was it. And 2 years I was in and out of the hospital, you know. And Pips wasn't allowed to. I mean, I was so ill. And Pips would drop me off, and I'd had to walk into the hospital, get a lift
During
to the
COVID, I couldn't go and
floor,
see him. I couldn't.
and I just
was
couldn't
just
walk.
stuck here waiting to hear.
Couldn't
couldn't
do
get
it.
hold of the
God, it's
ward.
awful for you. She thought I died a couple of times.
Yeah, I was phoning the emergency cancer ward, which is the emergency cancer ward, it's like. And they're saying, well, we can't help you because he's in another ward in part of the QE. And I said, look, it's 3:00 in the morning. He went in 2 days ago. I keep ringing the ward and they won't answer. I have no idea. He was so unwell. And bless them, the nurse did go down and check. And she said, right, he's comfortable. He's okay.
Standing on his head with a Caribbean shirt.
So yeah, it was a horrible time, especially with COVID added in as well.
And then a bacon sandwich issue that was brilliant.
Oh well, that's when squadron. I called it. Where were you on the 6th floor of the QE?
62, yeah.
Yes, ward
which is
622.
like high dependency ward. People were dying. Literally,
it's a very sad ward.
3 people. I mean, I'm in a 4-bed ward. 3 people died in one night. One guy went down next to me, chatting to him, and all of a sudden, beep, 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 all the alarms go off. They come in. Curtain goes round.
Yeah, but then you also made some lovely friendships.
Yeah,
there.
we did. Yeah. Oof, God, I'm not going to cry my eyes out.
I don't know this. I don't think.
Well, there was one man, wasn't there? Several.
He had leukemia.
He had blood cancer, and he wasn't very well and whatever. I mean, he had a lovely wife, and you and him got on like a house on fire, opposite sides of the ward. I still
didn't know what I was going to survive, but
he didn't expect to really.
He wasn't sure what was going on. So I was looking at buying Mum a car.
As you do, when you're in
as a present.
Distraction.
Yeah.
Which happened to be the SL500, and he was saying, "Oh, are you buying her?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking at these SL500s." And he said, "Oh, wow." He said, I'm thinking more Audi. Anyway, so I picked out a few Audi convertibles for him, for his wife. And then I came out of hospital, and he came out of hospital. Well, I presume he came out of hospital. He was still in when I came out. And I wanted to ring him. I was going back up for checks, and I wanted to take some champagne. Well, no, it was the champagne. I said, I'd make sure you get a couple of bottles of champagne. Yeah. So I rang him and said, I rang him his number, and his wife answered, and I just knew.
But what did she say?
She said,
"Oh, thanks to you, he talked about you a lot, and thanks to you, I've got a lovely gleaming convertible in the front drive."
I didn't know
so
that.
He passed away.
Really sweet.
Yeah, he died at home at the weekend.
Oh. Got me.
But there was more. There was a guy with brain cancer, and anyway, bacon sandwiches.
segue.
So we had this lovely nurse. She was lovely.
Oh, gorgeous
23
as well.
years she'd been a nurse. 23 years. And she looked after me so well. She was a bit like a headmistress, but she was brilliant. You know,
She had to be an award like that.
She didn't mess. And I said to her, I want to bring some bacon sandwiches up.
You were telling me to bring the bacon sandwiches up.
No, sorry, I was telling her to bring bacon sandwiches up. And
I said, I can't, it's
she said,
COVID.
okay.
I can't
She
even
said
come into the...
she can bring them to the door, because there was 4 of us in the ward, and unfortunately one died. And so Pip's brought bacon sandwiches up, 4 of them.
Smuggled them into QE in the middle of COVID, right?
Middle of COVID.
Everyone had masks, and it was just, everyone was in full PPE,
what was the room? It was the bereavement room. So there was a bereavement room by the entrance to the ward. And she said, you've both got an hour in the bereavement room. She closed all the curtains and gave us an hour.
She said, I won't be looking for any hanky-panky, though.
She was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
They did. And she did, didn't she?
And the bacon sandwiches were great. Yeah.
So, Dad, what would you say to someone who's just been given the same diagnosis as you?
Well, I think if they listen to this, you just got to crack on, And honestly, you can turn it around, Honestly, I think so, yeah.
Mum, what would you say to their partner?
To their partner? Oh, gosh, just be there for them as much as you can and keep it strong if you can. And I think involve the family if you have family.
Really, guys.
I think it does. It makes a really big, strong unit then, if everyone knows.
Yeah. Okay, if you had to sum up this chapter of your life in one sentence, Dad, what would it be?
It was a challenge. Yeah, it was a challenge. Biggest challenge I've ever done.
Everything you've been through, army and everything. This is...
Yeah.
Mum, same question for
I
you.
would prefer to have been shot, personally, but there you
go. Yeah. Same question for you, Mum. One sentence that captures.
Well, I think this might be a bit cliche, but always try and look on the bright side of the road.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's to medicine, technology, cyber knife,
and here's to those
and family and
fantastic people,
staff
that help me live.
I think for me, to wrap up, when we first found out as kids, I think we were all a bit ignorant. It sounds awful, but it's skin cancer. You just take the mole off, it's gone. I think that's a lot of us did think that. And ignorance is bliss. But it was a huge eye-opener to realise that cancer is cancer. It's ruthless, isn't it? And it can change so quickly.
Yeah.
But this was just one part of your journey. And none of us could have imagined where you are now. And I think it's a powerful reminder that in the darkest moments, there's always hope and there's always positivity. And I just feel incredibly grateful that in the small minority of people whose both parents have had cancer, both have survived. Yeah. So if you could just both please stay healthy, that would be great.
We'll do our best.
Cheers to you.
Cheers, darling. Cheers. Cheers, everyone.